All right, let's get into it. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the two biggest names in music streaming, Spotify and Apple Music. Now, on the surface, they both just play music, right? But underneath, they are operating in completely different universes. We're going to break down their algorithms, follow the money, and take a hard look at the data that fuels it all.
So let's just start with the question that I know a lot of you have probably wondered about. If you've ever used both apps, you know the feeling. The whole vibe is just different. One feels like it gets you, maybe a little too well sometimes, while the other feels more like a huge, perfectly organized library. But why? What's actually going on there?
You know, I saw this quote from a user online, and it just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly captures that feeling. Apple Music is the megastore. It has everything. All the hits are right up front. But Spotify? Spotify is that little indie record shop where the clerk knows your name, knows what you bought last week, and has a whole stack of records ready for you, saying, dude, you've got to hear this.
Okay, so let's dig into that first layer, this whole record store versus mega store idea. It really comes down to their fundamental philosophies on how they recommend music. How do they decide what you're going to hear next?
It pretty much boils down to this. Spotify's whole game is what's called collaborative filtering. It's constantly thinking, hey, people who like that obscure band you listen to also seem to love this other obscure band. It's building a taste profile that's all about you. Apple Music, on the other hand, leans way more on big picture popularity and actual human editors. Its logic is more like, look, this artist is a global superstar, our human curators are featuring them, so odds are you'll probably like them too.
So let's peel back another layer here. We know Apple relies a lot on its human tastemakers. But Spotify? Well, Spotify's approach is famously driven by its algorithm. So let's take a look at the tech that's actually powering all that personalization.
Everybody, meet Bart. No, not that Bart. This is the AI system that is basically the puppet master of your Spotify home screen. And its main job, its whole reason for being, is to keep you listening. It does that by trying to find that perfect, magical balance between playing the songs you already love and surprising you with what it thinks will be your next obsession.
And Bart works in this kind of two-step dance. First up is exploitation. And that's where the algorithm just studies you intensely. Every song you listen to for more than 30 seconds, every time you hit skip, every playlist you make, it's all data. It's learning your habits. Then comes exploration. It takes that profile it built of you and scans the entire world of music for new stuff that fits, creating those playlists like Discover Weekly to serve you fresh tracks it's betting you're going to love.
So, you have this incredibly complex technology, but how does that connect to the money? How does your monthly subscription fee actually make its way from your bank account into an artist's pocket? Let's follow the money.
Now here's where things get kind of wild. Your $10 a month, it doesn't go directly to the artist you listen to. Nope. Almost everyone, including Spotify and Apple Music, uses this thing called the pro rata model. All the subscription money, all the ad money, it all gets dumped into one giant swimming pool of cash. The platform takes its cut off the top, and then the rest is divided up based on an artist's total share of all the streams on the entire platform.
And this chart really shows you the end result of that system. Look at Apple Music. It pays out a pretty solid penny per stream. Why? Because Apple Music is 100% premium. Every single stream comes from a paying subscriber. But then you look at Spotify. It has a massive free tier that's supported by ads. This means their big pool of money gets diluted by a ton of lower value streams, and that drives the average pay-per-stream rate way down for everybody.
So you might be thinking, if Spotify pays less per stream, how does it even work for artists? Well, this is the answer. With over 615 million users, a huge chunk of them on that free plan, Spotify's whole model is built on one thing: massive, massive volume. What they might lack in the per-stream rate, they try to make up for, which is sheer scale and reach. For a huge artist, getting billions of plays, that can still add up.
And things are getting even more interesting because Spotify has rolled out a new tool for artists to tap into that algorithm. It's called Discovery Mode. Basically, artists and labels can tell the algorithm, hey, this song is a priority for us. In return for taking a lower, commission-based royalty for those specific streams, the algorithm is then more likely to push that song out in places like radio and autoplay.
Okay, so we've looked at the tech and we've looked at the money, but all of this incredible, deep personalization, it comes at a price, and that price is all about data. And this is an area where Spotify and Apple have fundamentally different approaches.
Yeah, some critics have a pretty chilling name for this level of insight: emotional surveillance. The basic idea is that by analyzing your listening habits, when you listen to happy music, when you switch to sad songs,
the platform can actually start to guess your mood and your emotional state.
And this plugs right into a bigger economic theory called surveillance capitalism. The argument is that a lot of modern companies treat our private human experiences, in this case what music we listen to and when, as a kind of free raw material that they can collect, analyze, and then use to predict our behavior, all for commercial gain.
And I mean, Spotify's data collection is extensive. It's not just the songs you play, it's what you search for, your general location based on your IP, and even data from your phone's sensors, like whether you're walking or running. This is a huge contrast to Apple Music, which really leans into Apple's whole privacy-first marketing and promises to keep a lot more of that data on your device and away from advertisers.
So here's the absolute genius of it all. Spotify Wrapped. It's a masterclass. They take this gigantic pile of personal data, wrap it up in these fun, colorful, shareable graphics, and turn it into a global viral marketing campaign. It brilliantly makes the very surveillance that powers their entire business model feel fun and normal.
So where does this all go from here? Well, if you take a peek at Spotify's patent filings, you see a pretty clear ambition. They don't just want to be a music player, they're aiming to be a deeply predictive, emotionally aware audio companion. You can see the whole evolution right here. In the early days, their patents were just about the basics, how to make streaming even work. But over time, you see this dramatic shift, away from just pure technology and towards these deeply personal, context-aware experiences. It's a direct result of their data-first philosophy.
And some of the future capabilities they're exploring in these patents, it's fascinating and maybe a little unsettling. We're talking about technology that could potentially detect your emotional state from the tone of your voice, or systems that create a playlist that matches your running pace in real time. And of course, the ability to infer your mood to serve you more timely and more effective ads.
Which really brings us back to the core choice between these two platforms. As this tech gets more and more predictive, it presents a really clear philosophical divide. Do you want a service that tries to know you better than you know yourself? Or do you just want a service that you tell what to play when you press that play button? Who's really in charge of the soundtrack to your life? Is it you, or is it the data you create?